It is a Legal Wednesday, and it is our pleasure to welcome back to the show Attorney Jeremy Rosenthal. Good morning, Jeremy. Are you well caffeinated? Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go. Are we going to talk about 12 men on the field? Because I work with some very angry Ohio State people here, and I love it because they need that. They needed that. Thank you.
Okay, you want to talk about that? Because it looks like now that there's potentially going to be a rule change that, because of what he did. What are your thoughts? Because as a lawyer, I would think you would look at that and go, man, he found the perfect loophole.
That's exactly what I think. I mean, he is a pioneer. And every once in a while, somebody walks in the office and they say, we do criminal law. So we do defense work. And every once in a while, somebody does something that's ought to be illegal and is certainly very wrong. And you're like, but there's no law. That's a pioneer. We need to find, they're going to write a law for you and they're going to put your name on it. Congrats. You made the books. But yeah, good for him. Good for him. Very clever.
I guess today is supposed to come out if the clock resets or not. I was told today that there's going to be a possible rule change today.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, good for him. Good for him. Good stuff.
All right. That said, so Boise State University is going to have to pay a coffee shop owner $4 million. Of course, this is going to be appealed. After a jury unanimously ruled that the school officials violated her First Amendment rights because she publicly supported law enforcement. So break this down for us. I'm assuming this coffee shop was on Boise State, like in their, EMU, right, which is kind of the common gathering place for folks.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So this was during COVID, and I guess Starbucks left, and they went to a shop that was in town, local merchant. They come bring him in. She is really pro law enforcement, flies a flag, thin blue line, and she's married to a person a disabled police officer injured in the line of duty. So she's got her beliefs and her opinions, and she's expressing them on a university campus. And at the time, if you remember, too, during COVID and right afterwards, you had the George Floyd death. And so there was a lot of clashing with the Black Lives Matter students at the university. The university itself actually took a pretty grown-up approach to it and said, listen, we've got First Amendment rights on this side and on that side, and we're a university, and this is a healthy thing to kind of air these things out. It got a little heated, obviously too much heated, and so the coffee shop actually left. They voluntarily left, but then they brought a suit and said, we were forced out, and you retaliated against us, and the jury agreed with them. They cut the university loose. They didn't take a judgment against them, but they did take a judgment against some of the lower echelon folks at the university for violating the First Amendment rights. I don't know that they'll collect that $4 million against these individuals, but the point is obviously a much bigger one, right?
Well, okay, so what did these administrators supposedly do that curtailed her rights?
What they're saying is that the legal theory would be that they took some other retaliatory actions. I think the student groups were called on the university to cancel the contract, and I don't think the university would do that. But my understanding is that some of these other employees of the university, again, I think the argument is that they facilitated some of the hostility towards this coffee shop. Perhaps enabled some of the students to really make life unpleasant for them, and so the retaliation is obviously a very common thing. We don't think of it as much, right? And retaliation is, for instance, when you go in and you call the boss a racist and you say you're treating me this way because you're racist, the boss says, how dare you call me a racist? I'm not a racist, and they list out why they're not a racist, but I am going to fire you because you're late. Okay, well, all right. Now you retaliated against me because of the complaint that I made. You're not a racist. You just retaliated me. And it's the same difference. So legally speaking, that's kind of what looks like happened here. Was we had a First Amendment protected complaint. The folks at the university said, fine, we'll give you the First Amendment, but we're also gonna kind of tick and tack and paper cut you out of here. So I think that's sort of what the jury decided.
You know, this idea of free speech on campuses is, I mean, for a lot of campuses, is almost a joke. At least from my point of view, so many of them, you know, if you don't follow the sheep, or you don't follow, you know, our particular line of thinking, then you know, you can say what you want, but we'll make sure that you can't do it here, or we'll make it so difficult for you that you can't or won't. I mean, this is a problem on campuses all over the country. Why?
A university campus is, legally speaking, and for all purposes, such a dynamic place. You are talking about a laboratory for ideas, for speech, but you also feed people, you house people, people have to drive to work, you've got to take out the garbage. So a university is a very, very complicated place. And you're absolutely correct that at any given university, you're going to have teachers' pets. I went to Texas Tech University for my undergraduate, which we lost to Oregon, I think, last year on a bonehead play in the fourth quarter. Not going to go there. But it's a very conservative university. And, you know, they may or may not have groups that they like more than others. And then we look at all of these protests this past spring about Palestine and all of these things. And then you have the opposite, right? You have, that's the challenge for a university. Can you tolerate the speech that you don't like? It's easy to give the First Amendment rights to the teacher's pet, but what happens when a group comes on campus that you don't like, right? How do you treat those? That's the true First Amendment litmus test, right? Is how do you treat the opposing viewpoint? Because if you're going to throw them off, you may as well be in Iraq.
Good point. Anything else you'd like to say before we let you go?
No, but thank you very much for letting me air my hot sports opinions about the Dan Lanning call. I thought it was great. Now with the playoff, you get to watch Ohio State lose 2 or 3 games, and you're still going to see them in the playoffs. Hopefully the Ducks will be there. You know, we'll see. But they look good so far. That's a mean team.
Yeah, no doubt.
You're not a Michigan fan, are you?
Oh, hell. Excuse me. This is PG-13. Heavens, no. Those guys, no, we can do without those guys. Do you guys play them?
Oh yeah, we got them coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah, enjoy them. They're going to come to town and look. Hopefully, spend a lot of money. And if they're coming to Eugene, you know, charge them extra.
Unfortunately, we got to travel there. But Ohio State fans, okay. They traveled well. Let's just say.
Well, very good. Hopefully, they were big tippers.
They were great people. I'll say that.
Yeah,
very nice.
They're Midwesterners.
Great people.
All right. Jeremy, thanks for being with us this morning. We appreciate it.
Always, guys. Have a good one.
You take care.